I'm Keyless Lloyd with Comics Beat, and I'm here with the cast and also producers of Does It Fly? They also work with Roddenberry Entertainment, and we are doing this thanks to sponsorship from Global Comics. So, obviously, Does It Fly is a podcast about science and applying it to sci-fi. Where did you come up with that idea?
Well, Trevor is the mastermind, so...
I didn't come up with it. Gene Roddenberry came up with it, I guess. A long time ago, Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek, needed a very talented Matt Jeffries to create a starship for him. And he said, the only thing I care about is that it flies. I want it to feel like it'll fly. I want it to be believable. I want people to believe that they could be in this ship for, days, months on end and be flying through space. And with that, he wanted it all to be focused and based on real science. So he would talk to various different scientists from JPL to Rand Corporation to others and make sure that what we were designing or what he was designing was something that actually made sense to the physical world. And from that, we decided that if we can talk about that and kind of investigate that and explore that for something like the Enterprise, why can't we do it for all the other conceits and properties that we love? And hence, these two genius people in front of me, one being an expert in pop culture and one being an expert in science and engineering, do that for us.
Science is a broad field, like all science. What are your specialties?
I love existence. That's a problem I have generally in my career because I do move from area to area in science. So I started off doing solar physics. So if you ever see the pictures of the sun with the plasma loops, I was on the team that did that the first time. Then I went into Silicon Valley, and so I got a bunch of patents that are now in your devices. And then I started doing dark energy cosmology, working on a satellite. Then I started doing ion propulsion. And nowadays, I'm working on a project called IMAP, which is mapping out the sun's magnetic bubble that protects Earth and the solar system. So I do a lot of like...
No, it's just, what have I done with my life? Nothing.
I'm an abject failure, sorry.
One of my favorite things about talking to Hakeem, though, is that he has a little bit of a bias against the bio community. Like, whenever we're doing an episode where we're talking about, like, genetics or animals or things like that, he will inevitably refer to, like, that nasty bio stuff.
Yeah, biology's nasty.
Which just makes me laugh.
We're all bio stuff, so I mean.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah. I was just talking to a biologist last week, by the way, and I brought that up. I was like, yeah, you guys got juices. Ew.
I'm a little scared to ask how he reacted, but.
And do you have a favorite sci-fi franchise?
I mean, it's hard to not say Star Trek because we're here.
Yeah.
What I will say in general is I love time travel. So anytime I don't know if that's technically, it's not a franchise, but it's, I would say, like a topic that I love.
Yes.
So I love movies about time travel and, looking at how that is happening. And I also love genetics. So give me a movie like Gattaca or something like that, and I'm a big fan.
Nice pull.
Yeah.
Thank you. And and that's something too that like we want people to know, like we are a Roddenberry Company podcast, but we look at conceits from all across the spectrum of sci-fi and fantasy. So anything and everything from the lightsaber to, we did an awesome episode on this British cult series called Red Dwarf, which I didn't know anything about, but which is a half-hour comedy. Set in the far, far future that's very big and broad, and we were talking about being in not hyperspace, like
Cryostasis.
Cryostasis,
Thank you. And looking at the science of that.
And the evolution of the cat.
Yeah, the cat. I was wondering about the cat especially.
Yeah.
So is there a dream project that you would like to apply science to in the future?
I mean, I will say this. So we did our panel a little bit earlier, and Interstellar kept coming up. So I feel like given both of like my time travel thing and your physics, I feel like maybe there's an Interstellar.
Did we already do the TARDIS?
We did the TARDIS.
We did the TARDIS,
yes. We did the TARDIS from Doctor Who. But that's I was going to say that's the other thing. Like, because for each episode we look at a specific device or conceit, we can also revisit different franchises.
Exactly.
And
talk about a different technology in it. Yeah.
Like we've done the lightsaber. There's lots of other things in Star Trek and Star Wars we can talk about.
I just saw the story online yesterday about how they came up with the sound of the phaser. It was a powered tower, and it had these cables, and when you hit it, it went doom, doom, doom. And so the guy, he was like, "That's it." Whoever was on the team, and he went and recorded it.
That's extremely cool. I actually didn't know that, and I know a lot about Star Trek. And looking back into the past, was there a favorite episode that you guys have done? Like, for all of you, do you have a favorite?
Yeah. So it's actually one that hasn't aired yet, but we decided to do one on the Crow and looking at the familiar, and everyone was sort of like, what do we do? Because that's so in fantasy, how is it rooted in science? And I was such a little brat, and I was like, we don't have to release it if it's not good, but I know we could do it. And they knocked it out of the park, and to me, it just broadened the scope of the kind of things that we can talk about. And so now when we're thinking about potential topics, I'm looking more into like fantasy than ever before, because clearly they can handle it. And so that was.
As an example, Beetlejuice. So they want Hakeem, let's talk about the science of demonic possession. Not a challenge, right?
But here's the thing I will say. So like what I love about talking with Hakeem about these things, because he handles the science, I handle like the what if of our super world, is that it's never just like, well, can you be possessed or not? Like you always look at like, well, how would this happen? And then you talk about what that science is.
Yes.
So you get like a primer on a scientific concept, and then we take it and we play with it in story world. So that's I love the way you extrapolate it out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I guess for me, I mean, the first thing that came to mind was we did an episode on The Boys and Starlight's powers, and that was like one of the things I love about doing this show is I've been a sci-fi fan since I was a kid, but there's way more TV out there and film out there than we all have time to watch. So this show gives me an excuse to like watch stuff on my list. And for that one in particular, I had worked with a composer on another project, on a Marvel project, and so I got to like take a deep dive into bringing some of the behind the scenes for the music, because I called and I was like, hey Chris, can you like tell me a little bit about the music for Starlight and da-da-da-da-da. So being able to bring stuff like that
That's
into
the
the
cool
conversation.
thing. She comes with these stories of the background, what happened here and there. It's like, oh, you're gonna love this, and I do love it. And we both love to learn so much. And some of these topics, right, like mind control, I'm like, how could you do that? But then I go down this rabbit hole of research, and I learn all about brain-computer interfaces, neurotechnology, and the stuff that they're doing.
Right, so that reminds me of, so we did an episode on Indiana Jones, specifically on Temple of Doom and taking the heart out of the body.
Oh, right.
And I was like, okay, what? I'm so curious to see what Hakeem's going to bring. And what I loved was that you broke it down into like 3 pieces. It was how can you stick your hand in, then once you take it out, what happens to the heart, but then what happens to the body, and like this different science of all of that. So that was really fun.
Well, this has been the cast and crew of the Does It Fly podcast. Can you tell us where we would find your podcast?
Absolutely. Go to doesitflypod.com.
Or find us on YouTube or TikTok at Does It Fly Pod.
All right. Thank you all very much.